did it do 6 months ago? What did it do last year this day? What are the 10-year patterns? You're looking for patterns so you can make predictions. And then you're looking at the 7-day and the 10-day and the 30-day cycle. That's just how you trade. And trading coincides with forecasting in the weather, because it's something that operates on a lunar cycle according to the moon, right? So yeah, I mean, everything.
So let me ask y'all this. Let me ask y'all this. The weather is what it is. Let's say the weather is what it is because the majority of the population watches the Weather Channel. When they tell us it's going to be 92, we believe it, and we create 92-degree temperature that day. If they say it's going to rain, we believe it. We create rain that day. Do you think if we had nothing, if television didn't exist, radio didn't exist, we did not have something called the Weather Channel, do you think the weather that we experience will be different now? Like, is there media, the magic of the media, the only thing that keeps the weather the way it is right now?
Look, before TV, before radio, we had something called an almanac. The farmer's almanac, every farmer had one. And they knew when to plant their crops by the almanac, what the weather was going to be during the planting season, how many days. All this was already plotted in the almanac before there was a Weather Channel to look at. And when we have the luxury of comparing the almanac's predictions in the past with the actual events in the past that they was predicting, because we beyond those things. So when you look back, you find out the almanac is like 97% accurate. The Weather Channel is like 80% to 85% accurate. Right? So maybe the Weather Channel needs to go read the almanac.
Indeed. Wow. What we talk about, sun gazing. Some people talk about moon gazing. Is there anything, do you think viewing the northern lights, looking at them physically with your eyes, what kind of impact does that have on your body? Like really gazing at it like you would sun gaze?
Well, let's do this. You ever see them where they put the goggles on with the colors flashing and then they play a tone in your ear?
Yeah. What that got a name, don't it?
Yeah, I just can't remember it right now.
Shit, but yeah.
Anyway, they put them in there normally to balance the hemispheres of the brain.
Right.
And they're using the light show and the sound show at the same time to play on more than one sense to make it permeate deeper. When you're looking at different color lights, they got different effects on you. Different colors have different effects. They call it color psychology. So when you're looking at those northern lights, not only can you read the energy frequency by the color, it also does something to you by the color as well. Remember in 1999, the sky was all purple. There was people running everywhere. What they talking about? And when you look out there now, the sky is all purple and people running around talking about, you see that? Right. Maybe the song was an exaggeration of a lesser event.
Word, right?
You
talk about a kaleidoscope? Is that the name of it? Kaleidoscope?
No, that's that little thing that you get when you're little and it got all of the funny shapes that come.
Right.
But those are also formed with color.
Right.
So when we looking at different colors, remember the optic nerve ain't just reading the image. It's reading the color. It's reading the distance. And it's also reading the entropy of the color as it returns to the optic nerve. By distance, he know how much of the color in order to adjust it to match the background color. Right? That's why you can have two different greens on top of each other and you can clearly see them. They not the same, but they both green. So it's like with the human. Before we was iron based, our melanin made us shades of blue and green.
Green, right.
Delbert Blair used to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What made us iron based again? I think I talked to you about this on the phone one time. What made us iron based?
Well, it was from altering the DNA. It's a combination of factors. Altering the DNA, taking the double oxygen molecule that used to be down to the surface, now it's only to the ozone layer. So now you breathe in O1 instead of O2 or just O.
Right.
It's these all these things changes the physiology. When you start tampering with the DNA and the DNA begin to upgrade, and it's also from everybody coming in human form. You can't come in your mythic form, but you can still see peering through the mythic form
Right.
of the ancestor that's incarnated.
Right.
So when we get caught up thinking that fairies ain't real, they just look like little people now. Right? Elves and gnomes, we call them dwarfs. Right? And them big Shrek looking people, you see them all the time. Look big goofies. You know? All of the mythic forms is in human form, but this because it's built around the spirit self. The mythic form can be seen peering through the face of the human. Mermaid, the Lyran,
all that.
Right? You can see it peering through the face of the human, and it causes the general structure of the facial cranial features to develop into what they develop into.
Is that why when you look in the mirror for an extended period of time, you might be able to see a mythic form? Some people say.
Yeah,
like people, it's a person
because you begin to peer.
You know, I seen the devil. I seen an evil entity. Is that just their mythic form?
Beyond the veil, and they start seeing their.
They looking at themselves.
Right.
So, especially when you
look for first time you face to face with yourself for real. For some people, that's the most terrifying reality they'll ever have. Being face to face with themselves. We call it shadow work. We call it facing your inner demons.
Right. I talked about this on the show with again. I'd say it later. I want to tell people something. Okay, right.
So when you start facing all of the stuff, you like, for instance, the same person that can't stand so and so because they always sticking their fingers in the pot, walk right behind them, and they mad because they didn't stick their fingers in the pot first.
Woo.
But they want to complain about him sticking his fingers in the pot, so they don't seem petty by just complaining about him sticking his fingers in the pot first.
Oh man, some hella psychology.
All this stuff is to scramble the mind and keep us confused as to who we are, what's going on, and everything gonna be all right. And it ain't no doomsday prophecy. All them doomsday sayers and all that, they probably gonna be the ones with the doomsday for the dirt they did. But the rest of us regular people, the average person, is inherently good. It's the exception to the rule when you come up with the rotten, the no good people, the ones that sell you out for a little bit of nothing. That's not the norm. But the damage they do is so catastrophic that it becomes common knowledge that they exist. You know, we all know it. When this dude come around, guys start tucking their chains in like Debo coming. It's a Debo in every hood. And it's a Craig in every hood waiting to bust him in the face with a brick.
Yeah.
Who don't really want it, but he ain't backing down.
Indeed. You know, so we started out early in the conversation talking about music. Blue, I talked to you briefly a little earlier on the phone, and you mentioned the sound of the Northern Lights, the sound that it actually makes. So
Yes.
if we could talk about the sound that is produced by this stellar event. Somebody earlier said that it was loud in Arizona when they seen the Northern Lights. What's the deal with the sound that these Northern Lights make? Can we talk about that for a second?
Again, you know that the emanation of light, right? It creates a sound because there's an oscillation involved. We're speaking about waves, and waves create sound waves. So the information that is being relayed is the actual conversation that's being had. The way that we pick it up in terms of tonality, we call it, it's music. It's just, you know, it's the music of the spheres, if you will. So once again, they said that there's a collision of magnetic fields. The sun's magnetic field is colliding with Earth's magnetic field, and they are making a quote unquote a sound, or you know, they're making beautiful quote unquote music based on the information relay that's taking place. That's a whole language. And once again, I would ask, based on cymatics, if sound and light can create matter and form, and we are ourselves forms and vessels, if we are absorbing these sounds, what is it doing to us? What conversation are we having with these cosmic rays? Because that sound is information. We're just hearing it.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Did you feel extra tired today, Rod? They said some people was feeling tired as a result. Any symptoms you personally feeling?
Um, I'd be having a histamine response more than anything else. When the energy start moving, it give me a histamine response. It make me start itching all over. But it ain't a regular itch.
Somebody was speaking about the effect that it has on pollen as well. Um, I don't have sinuses or anything of that nature, so I can't relate. But some people in my chat earlier, they were speaking about it has a positive effect on the pollen count. It's like my pollen ain't that bad right now. So
But really, that's the ionization. Because remember, bees use pollen to fertilize flowers, right? The codes have to upgrade all genetic matter. Flowers are genetic matter. So the pollen being ionized by those same energies is giving it a whole bunch of what we call neutral additions to it in order for it to transport more information in the genetic field, right? So you can only do two things. You can go to war, or you can make love. You can't do both at the same time, right? And if the flower is defending itself, the pollen is an agitator. But if the pollen is upgraded for a special reproductive purpose, now it's not an adjutant, right? It's more conducive than it is agitating, right? We need more bee farmers. We need to put an APB out on all sisters that want to raise bees. We need way more bee farmers. We don't have enough.
We know that's the underlying, undergirding support system of nature is the bees. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely should be looking at bee activity, because bees also will tell you a lot about the magnetic field. That's what they utilize to operate, you know. So
and remember, they're making honey out of this ionized pollen too.
That's right.
Ooh, wow.
Let me just, you know, real quick with the brother, based on what he has shared with us this particular evening, and the understanding of how this electromagnetism interplay with the core of the planet, and you know, goes back and forth. The best suggestion I would definitely have for people is to go outside and ground tomorrow morning. If you could get out and sun gaze, that would be a beautiful thing in addition to grounding. But definitely make sure you put your soul, you know, you touch some grass so you can absorb through your soles, through the soles of your feet, is how you absorb this latent information that is now, you know, abundant on the surface of the earth. Yes.
I was just telling who was I telling last week? I had somebody on the show, and I was telling them how I started growing shrooms in my front yard. They just started coming up.
Right.
And it happened last year real quick, but now it's just like it's going growing a lot. Out the
Sprouting.
blue,
Okay.
shrooms just started coming up in the front. Yo, it's amazing to see them grow because they grow
Somebody
overnight
know
and by the morning they fully bloom. You're like, what? Where the hell this came from? You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, some interesting
So
things
that's
happen.
right. So the beauty, the analogy of what you are witnessing with the fungus is how thoughts are manifesting right now. That's how magnetic
Ooh,
the field is. When you speak on something nowadays, bam, it's manifesting instantaneously. So be very mindful and guarded with your thoughts.
mm,
And we seen that last week, like we said, not only last week, but for a pocket of time, we've been bombarded by Gemini energy. And
mm,
Gemini's the mind is mercurial. We're heading into Gemini season. You know, we haven't even seen the totality of what we're about to see based on what you said. You know, they got the dragon trap between the pillars. You know, Gemini energy is also Trump. Whew, I don't, you know what I mean? I can't, I don't even know if y'all want to get into politics about what's taking place right now, but very mindful. You know, it's very important that we at least stay abreast of the news and its developments because these mercurial figures are very much playing into the mythos. This is a mythos that's playing out. It's the collective hero's journey of a people whose date with destiny is definitely, you know, coming up. And there's a lot of mental, the mind decisions have to be made by our people, right? And those decisions are best informed when they have information about who they are, what their assignments are. They got a brief window now, right? In this Taurus season where people are doing Google searches just based on this battle last week. They on Rap Genius reading double entendres. They're educating themselves. They into bars and lyricism again. You know, people want to know what the meanings of these words were that they heard but didn't yet. And they saying Elohim, what's that? So there's an interesting conversation. Our people once again realizing what their collective power is when they said they not like us, and then they shut down Vlad to be like, yo, this conversation don't have nothing to do with you, and they said it firmly. You know what I'm saying? And they stood on business, and they were able to make him do something that he does not do, which is issue that apology and capitulate and fall on his sword, right? For attempting to go after one of our own. Our people finally found their, you know, the gumption to stand on business as a collective and utilize social media as a bullhorn, as a platform. And that's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying?
indeed. Let me get to a few questions. I got about 15 minutes left. Let me get to a few questions before we get out of here. Let me put I see somebody asked about Rod's Cash App. I'm gonna put Rod Hayes and Blue Pills join up on the screen real quick. I know Rod is SikApe. Hey, give me some questions, fam, while I'm doing this. Give me some questions. Let me see. Blue Pill is what's your Cash App, Blue Pill?
Blue Pillar 44 $sign.
Oh, Pill. So all right, yeah, all right, family. If y'all wanna support these brothers real quick, hit up Cash App real quick, family. $ SikApe. That's Rod Hayes joint, and Blue Pill is $ Blue Pillar 44. I mean, these are just the year started out, man, with Rod talking about the Maherta, and the year just has not let up. It's just been nonstop action, fast paced this year. I mean, 2024, what a year, right? What a year. 2024. Wow, what a year. We're gonna get to a few questions before we get out of here. Once again, if you want to support the brothers, Rod Hayes Cash App is SikApe, $SIKAPE. Blue Pill is $ Blue Pillar 44. Let's get to these questions. All right. Somebody wants to know, will this event affect the appetite?
Some people, you gotta follow. You gotta start eating. Might as well start eating by instinct. If you ain't hungry, don't eat. If you're hungry, eat. But your appetite can be affected And sometimes some of us won't be able to eat for days at a time, and then sometimes we be gorging for 3 days in a row. So the energy gonna move you what to eat, when to eat, because you gonna have a unnatural craving for something. That means go get that. Right?
Yeah.
All that's part of spiritual awakening. Because your body know where chemicals at in the food that you ain't and didn't even know was in the food.
That you need, right?
Yeah. So when you're going through an awakening, you had them strange cravings. I want to eat pickles and cucumbers dipped in ranch. I ain't never ate